Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into the weeds, looking at, well, one of the toughest markets out there for digital strategy, local tradesmen.
Yeah, plumbers, roofers, HVAC guys, electricians, the backbone services.
Exactly, and we're zooming in tight. We're talking about the Texas Panhandle, specifically Amarillo and Pampa, and how one agency claims they can dominate hyper-locally.
Right, this agency is TEXSEON Marketing, and their whole thing, based on the materials we looked at, is this WYSIWYG promise: what you see is what you get.
WYSIWYG.
Yeah, they basically say they cut through all the vanity metrics. Their mission is just delivering actual high-value local jobs that convert. No fluff.
Okay, let's unpack that straight away.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely seen contractors, good ones, pour money into, say, generic Facebook ads and end up with leads from, like, 3 states over. Total waste.
That's the classic problem.
So what's the core pain point they identify? Why doesn't general marketing work for a plumber in Amarillo?
Well, their analysis really highlights it. It's the flood of unqualified leads. That and the resulting low ROI, obviously. General strategies give you metrics like impressions or social reach.
Stuff that looks good on paper.
Exactly. Looks great in the report, but it doesn't actually get the phone ringing with someone who needs their specific service now. It doesn't solve the real problem.
So they end up chasing tire kickers, people just browsing, or maybe price shopping.
Precisely. And for these tradesmen, time is everything. They can't afford to waste hours on calls that go nowhere when they could be bidding on or doing high-value work, like a specific slab leak detection Amarillo job, or maybe landing a commercial roofing Amarillo contract.
Right. So the strategy has to be almost surgical in cutting out that noise, that low-intent traffic.
It has to be.
So if the goal is that kind of surgical precision, where do you even start building that digital presence? You can't just throw up a website and cross your fingers, right?
No, absolutely not. You start where the customer with an urgent need starts, which means local map domination.
Ah, the map pack. You mean that little box with usually 3 businesses listed right at the top of Google Maps when I search for, I don't know, emergency plumber near me?
That's the one. And our sources are really clear on this. This is the single most important metric for a local tradesman. Why? Because those top 3 spots, they grab something like
What is it, like half the clicks?
70% or more of the initial clicks and calls. If you're not in that top 3, you're basically fighting over the leftover 30% with everyone else.
Wow, 70%. That's huge. It's practically the whole game right there in those 3 spots. Okay, so how do they actually achieve that, this phase I, foundational stabilization? How do they lock down that map pack visibility right away?
It comes down to 2 absolutely non-negotiable tactics to build what they call a bulletproof digital foundation. First up is Google Business Profile Optimization, or GBP.
Okay, GBP. But isn't that just filling out your hours and address?
Well, yes and no. It goes way beyond the basics. It means meticulously aligning every detail, the business categories you choose, how you write your service descriptions, the specific service areas you list, aligning all of that perfectly with what they call their local keyword strategy bank.
A local keyword strategy bank. What's in there?
It's not just generic stuff like plumber. It's laser focused on the maybe 50 or so exact phrases someone types when they are ready to hire immediately, not just browsing. Think terms like 24-hour plumber Amarillo.
Ah, so you list that as a service on your profile.
Exactly. You're explicitly telling Google, yes, I offer this specific urgent service in this specific location. It leaves no room for ambiguity. Google understands you're the emergency provider.
That's smart. You're basically spoon-feeding Google the exact signals it needs. Okay, what's the second non-negotiable?
NAP consistency. Name, address, phone number. NAP.
Right.
These 3 pieces of information must be 100% identical. Everywhere online. Every directory, every citation site.
Identical, like down to street versus Saint.
Down to the comma, the abbreviation, everything. It sounds almost trivial, right? But the source material is emphatic. Inconsistent NAP is apparently the #1 reason good tradesmen get overlooked by Google in local search.
Why is it that critical? A single wrong digit or a slightly different address format tanks your ranking.
It really boils down to trust, Google's trust signal. Especially for trades, these are often urgent, high-stakes searches. Google needs absolute certainty that you are who you say you are, and crucially, where you say you are. Any inconsistency, however small, reads as unreliable, unprofessional. It erodes that trust signal.
Which is fatal for local ranking, especially when someone needs help fast.
Fatal, yeah.
And I guess this is where some of that tech comes in, the AI tools, to make sure that foundation is solid.
Precisely. They mention using Notebook LM specifically during their initial audit phase. It helps them pull together findings from, dozens of different online directories and instantly flags every single NAP discrepancy.
So it automates that painstaking checking process.
Exactly. It ensures those foundational details are absolutely perfect from day one, which lets the business start building real local authority much faster.
Okay, so foundation is set, GVP is dialed in, NAP is consistent, you're showing up in the map pack.
Okay.
But if someone clicks through from that map pack and the website isn't ready to convert them, like immediately, the whole thing falls apart, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. That website isn't just a digital business card. It needs to function like your best salesperson working 24/7. It has to be engineered purely for conversion.
Not just a pretty brochure.
Definitely not. It needs to be lightning fast, obviously mobile optimized because most local searches happen on phones. And it has to adhere to their really strict standard website design. Scope of work. They call it the SOW.
Strict, huh?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. What makes a site elite machine, according to this SOW, versus just a website?
Well, it's what they call conversion engineering, right down to the small details. For instance, the SOW demands things like dynamic click-to-call buttons, meaning the phone number is always visible, always clickable with one tap, no matter where the user is on the page, even if they scroll way down. The path to calling needs to be effortless.
Okay, that makes sense for urgent services.
Absolutely. But maybe the most critical concept for building that hyperlocal authority is using dedicated geoservice pages.
Dedicated geoservice pages. So not just a single services page listing everything you do.
No, definitely not. That's too generic. You need separate, detailed pages for your core services combined with your core cities.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you're an HVAC company serving Pampa. You wouldn't just list AC repair. You'd create a specific page, fully built out, titled something like Air Conditioning Service Pampa TX.
Ah, I see. So that page is optimized purely for people searching for AC service, specifically in Pampa.
Exactly. It tells Google unequivocally, we are the local expert for this specific service in this specific town. It builds incredible relevance for those high-intent, geographically specific searches.
But wouldn't creating all those pages, one for AC in Pampa, one for heating in Amarillo, one for duct cleaning in Borger, wouldn't that get really content-heavy and maybe expensive for a small business to roll out?
It's an investment for sure, but they justify it because it's the only way to achieve that granular focus needed for true local domination. Think about the payoff. The leads coming from that AC Service Pampa TX page. They aren't just qualified, they're geographically perfect.
Meaning less travel time, faster response.
Lower costs, faster job starts, happier customers. It pays for itself by eliminating wasted effort and targeting the most profitable local jobs.
Right, you're creating these perfect landing zones for every valuable search combination that really is surgical.
And that surgical approach leads right into phase 2 strategic growth.
Okay.
So once that primary market, let's say Amarillo, is stable, the map pack ranking is solid, qualified leads are coming in predictably, then the strategy shifts. It moves to what they call systematic controlled expansion.
Right, and that sounds like the tricky part. How do you expand into, say, adjacent towns like Borger or Canyon without messing up the dominance you just worked so hard to build in Amarillo? You don't want to delete your authority.
That's the key challenge. And the answer, according to the sources, is efficiency. They don't just start throwing darts at a map of new towns.
They don't start from scratch.
Exactly. They leverage the data, the performance, the blueprint they already built improved in Phase I in Amarillo.
So what worked best in Amarillo, the keywords, the page structures, becomes the starting point for tackling Borger.
Precisely. They use Notebook LM again here, but this time to analyze the performance data from Phase 1. Which geoservice pages converted the best? Which keywords drove leads with the lowest cost per lead? They take those specific insights, that proven formula, and use it to create highly targeted, efficient content and strategies for the new service areas. It's about replicating success methodically, not reinventing the wheel, which prevents diluting their core authority by chasing less effective tactics in new markets.
That makes sense. It's a data-driven rollout.
Right.
Which brings us back to that WYSIWYG promise of transparency. If they're ditching the vanity metrics, what are the actual core metrics they show clients to prove this whole system is working?
They keep it incredibly focused. Just 3 main things that directly reflect business outcomes. Number 1, cost per qualified lead, or CPL.
Okay.
And they are, by all accounts, ruthless about defining qualified. They only count leads where the person is clearly ready to hire now.
So not the just wondering how much a new roof might cost someday calls, more like the my ceiling is leaking, I need a roofer today quote.
Exactly that distinction, quality over sheer quantity. Number 2 is straightforward, lead and call volume. But specifically, qualified lead and call volume. They provide clients with real-time dashboards showing exactly how many qualified calls and form submissions are coming in.
That's the proof in the pudding, the actual phone ringing.
It's the heartbeat metric, yeah. And number 3 is simply tracking that objective local map pack ranking and visibility. But again, focus only on those high-intent, ready-to-buy local search terms.
That's it. CPL, qualified volume, and map rank.
That's it. Simple, direct, tied to actual business results. No fluff about impressions or click-through rates on ads that didn't convert.
It's refreshingly straightforward. And we keep hearing about AI tools like Notebook LM, not just as buzzwords, but as practical efficiency multipliers. How else are they using AI beyond that initial audit and the phase 2 planning?
Yeah, the approach seems to be using AI to deliver quality results faster and more cost-effectively, but crucially, always with human oversight. It's not fully automated.
Got it. Any other examples?
They mention using Gemini, for instance, to help draft personalized responses to online reviews.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, think about turning a potentially lukewarm 4-star review into a really positive interaction, building loyalty. That's huge for local reputation. And they also use it to generate hyper-optimized ad copy, especially for those urgent, time-sensitive services.
Right, like when the furnace dies on the coldest night of the year, you need ad copy that works instantly.
Exactly. Speed is critical there. But the really advanced use case they describe for Notebook LM goes way beyond just organizing notes.
Okay.
They use it to synthesize complex local information, things like recent changes in local zoning codes or analyzing publicly available commercial development case studies within Amarillo or Pampa.
Wait, synthesizing zoning codes. How does that help a plumber?
Think bigger. Think commercial contracts. It means they can approach a potential commercial client, maybe a property developer or manager in Amarillo, armed with incredibly specific hyper-local insights.
Like what?
Like saying, we've analyzed the recent municipal code updates for Pampa, and based on the age and zoning of your properties near the courthouse complex, you're likely facing mandatory ADA compliance upgrades for restroom facilities within the next 18 months. We have specific expertise in that exact type of commercial refit.
Whoa, that's not just marketing. That's deep competitive intelligence. That's almost an unfair advantage compared to a generalist agency.
It's the difference between saying we do SEO and saying we understand the specific regulatory and business environment you operate in, right down to the local ordinances, and here's how our services mitigate your risk and meet your needs. They potentially know more about the client's upcoming compliance needs than the client does.
Okay, let me try and wrap my head around this to sum it up. For these tradesmen in the Texas Panhandle, getting ahead isn't about generic online ads. It's about absolute precision.
Yes, surgical precision.
Focusing relentlessly on that Google Map pack, making sure name, address, phone number are perfect everywhere, and building those specific geoservice pages on the website that convert.
Turning clicks into calls, specifically qualified calls.
Right, and ultimately turning those calls into predictable, high-value jobs, especially those commercial contracts. It's a system.
It is, and what's really fascinating, thinking beyond just a specific case, is the level of data synthesis required to pull this off effectively, especially with tools like Notebook LM. Well, if AI tools now allow an agency to digest and leverage hyper-granular data like local zoning codes or commercial building permits just to gain an edge in a relatively small market like Pampa, it really makes you wonder, right? It poses a big question for any business listening. How do you scale that?
What do you mean?
If phase-I demands mapping every tiny detail for 1 or 2 core locations, how do you realistically replicate that intense, deep data synthesis when you try to execute phase 2 and expand into 10, 20, or 50 new towns or cities? That challenge, scaling hyperlocal specialized knowledge efficiently, that feels like the next major hurdle. Where does the balance lie between depth and breadth?
Efficiency versus depth at scale. That's definitely something to chew on. Thank you. This has been incredibly insightful.
My pleasure. Really interesting stuff.